Okay everyone, what's going on? Is Voodoo51292 here, and today we are going to be doing a game review, and I want to make something pretty clear right off the bat. As you can see, I'm sitting in my gaming chair. I normally would sit on my bed, but again the sun would blind you from that window behind my bed. Normally I've been doing my game reviews standing up recently, but what I do want to get out of the way very quickly is yes, this is going to be the longest and most extensive game review I've ever done, and it may remain for all time on my channel the longest game review I've ever done. I'm talking maybe up to 4 or 5 parts, 15-minute parts about this, and yes, I'm being honest because this game warrants it, and and you know, it all goes back to what I said at the very beginning of my channel when I was first starting out, and this channel was completely related to game reviews before I had any gameplay footage up. This is kind of one of the things on my channel that makes it different than these game reviews, and I said I'm going to be complete, I'm going to be thorough, and I'm going to be honest. And if that requires me to do a freaking, hour-long game review, then I'm going to do that. Because it means that much to me, and when I get done with this game review, you're going to see why. Now, this isn't going to be the typical style of game review where I break it pros, cons, blah, 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 and go from there. I'm basically just going to, I have my computer here is sitting on the floor, and I have written out by category all levels of this game, and I'm going to be going category by category explaining parts of this game. I guess it would help to tell you what game I'm doing, even though you've seen it on the title already, but let me get it out of its sleeve, because I did get this from Gamefly, so I don't have the case, but I have the disc. It is Crysis 2, as you can see, for the PlayStation 3, and this is the game I'm going to be doing, and basically I'm going to be going category by category in this game and pretty much tearing it a new one. And I'm also going to be doing something a little different. I've got a game review pulled up on my computer as well that I'm going to be reading a good section of and talking about different parts of that, and it's really going to be a different kind of game review than what you're used to seeing. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started, and you'll see what I mean. Basically, what did I think of the game right off the bat? I thought the game was pretty terrible. I thought it sucked. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's probably one of the worst campaigns I've ever played, period, not just FPS, but anywhere, and it was the most overly hyped game I think I've ever seen in my life, and, completely disappointed in it. I got this game, I thought it was going to be great. I said, you're taking the best game, one of the best games on PC ever made, and you're going to work on it for 4 years, because the Crysis 1 came out in 2007, if I remember correctly, and it's going to, 4 years, and they're going to port this to console. They understand now, how big of a market the console gamer is now, and they're going to port this great game to it. It's going to be 4 years, and it's going to come out, and it's going to be amazing. And in short, it was not. So let's go and just begin talking about this game level by level, and by the end of it, I think you'll understand why it's going to be hard for you to argue a bunch of these points, okay? So let's get started. Let's talk about first the plot of the game, because, as I said, the very first Crysis was on PC, and PC only, and, they're porting it to, to console, so you would expect that as they're reaching out, to console gamers, that they would, obviously introduce the plot to you and everything else, because you gotta understand that the majority of people who played the first game on PC are not going to be playing this game on console. They're probably going to be playing it on PC because they're probably PC gamers. So you think that the plot's going to be pretty good and that they'd introduce you to it, but that's not the case. First and foremost, the plot of this game makes no sense. The story completely jumps around. It really doesn't make any sense. Basically, here's the deal. If you did not play Crysis 1, you're basically screwed. because you're really not going to know what's happening with this game. I played through the entire game, obviously. It was about a 10-hour long game, and I have no idea what happened. They didn't try at all to introduce console gamers to the story. They didn't at all, and it makes no sense. And it's not just people who didn't play Crisis 1 that the story doesn't make sense. I've seen plenty of reviews from people who did actually play the first Crisis and still don't understand what happened in this game. So this game just within itself's plot makes no sense, even if you did play the first Crisis. And if you didn't play it, like I did not play it, then you're doubly, triply screwed because you have absolutely no chance of understanding the plot of this game at all. In the game, a perfect example of why this plot makes no sense. You'll be trying to do something. You'll be trying to do some kind of objective, some end goal, and you'll be doing this for probably about two hours or so of gameplay. You'll be trying to get to this location where something's supposed to happen, and it happens a few times, and you'll fight your way there, and like I said, it'll take about 2 hours, and then you get to this area, and you think something's going to happen, and then something completely random and unexplained will happen that really makes no sense, and all of a sudden, that chapter will end. When the chapter resumes, you are no longer in the same area, you don't know why you're in a different area, and the plot line completely shifts, and you're just like, oh, whatever you were trying to do for the last 2 hours, forget it. It doesn't matter anymore. You're going to be doing something completely different. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean without really spoiling anything. There is a part in the game where you're trying to get to this building, okay? And once you're inside the building, something's supposed to happen, and you're supposed to find something out. So anyway, you have to fight your way into the building, obviously, and it takes a good amount of time, and you finally get into the building, and for some reason, all of a sudden, the building you're in is completely underwater, or the level of the building, which makes no sense because you actually have to get to into the lobby through the parking garage, which is actually, as the diagram shows in the game, underground. However, there's no water in the parking garage, and when you're approaching this building, there's no water anywhere. You have to go underground in the parking garage and then take an elevator up to the first floor, the ground level. Then when you get there, for some reason, there's water everywhere, but there's no water in the underground parking garage or anywhere around the building, and then you get in the building in the lobby, and for some reason, the entire bottom floor is underwater. Who knows why? Then you're in this place, something's supposed to happen, and then for some reason, again, the water's there, it breaks all the windows, rushes in, you get swept out with the water, and the guy, who's leading you is basically like, oh, you know what, forget it, it really doesn't matter, you can just go off and do whatever you were going to do before. What you were trying to do for the past 2 hours really doesn't matter at this point. And you're like, what just happened? That doesn't make sense. Just the plot points in this game, the progression of the plot doesn't make any sense, and, bottom line is, with the overarching plot, if you didn't play Crisis 1, you have absolutely no chance of knowing what's happening in the story. You have no clue, and here's the last point I have written down here. It says, why port it to the console? And basically what I mean is, if you have no intentions of opening up the plot line to console gamers, then why did you port it to the console? Like I said before, logical thinking would tell you that the majority of people who played the first game were PC gamers. Why? Because Crisis 1 was only on PC. If you had somebody who's a strictly console player, they're not going to play Crisis 1 on PC because they don't play PC games. And the thing that was so great about this game, or was supposed to be anyway, was that they were going to port it to console, so that console-only gamers could get into the series and, understand what was going on and play it. However, they make no attempt at all at explaining the plot to you. So my question is, why did you port it to the console? Why are you trying to get all the console gamers to buy your game who probably, 80 or 85% of you know, the people who are buying this game on console did not play the first game, yet you don't explain to them what's going on in the story or the plot. So how are they supposed to know? We didn't play the first game. We're console gamers. This is the point. This is why you ported it to console, because console gaming is now kind of dominating the market, and, you know, you obviously you realize, Crytek, who's the developers of this game, that you needed to release it on console and you would get tons and tons and tons of money, but you didn't feel it was necessary to let the people who bought it on console know what the hell's going on with the plot or anything else. So that makes no sense, and you know, you guys suck. You didn't, for some reason, you didn't feel it was necessary to tell us what was going on with the plot. So thanks, I guess. Thanks for trying to bring us into your series, but then not really, because you're basically saying if you didn't play the first game, then screw you. You're punished, and you don't get to understand what's happening in the story, which is completely doesn't make any sense considering we wouldn't have played the first game on PC anyway. But a time check on our first video. Alright, this was about 11 minutes long. So I think I'm going to cut the video here. When we come back, we're going to do some more categories. We're going to look at the characters in the game. We're also going to look you know, at the gameplay in general, which has some subcategories like your suit, what powers your suit has, the combat in the game, the level design, all kinds of different areas that I'm going to basically rip on throughout this game review. So make sure you come back for part 2 of the official Crysis 2 review.